Hi everyone, this is a quick tutorial on basically creating a database using Access, and you're going to use this tutorial so that you can complete the project that we're going to be working on in class. So the first step is let's create a database. I've got here a folder, I've called it database. I'll store this on my desktop. It will be a good idea if you store your database in your documents because you're going to be opening this database throughout the project for the next couple of weeks. And you need to be able to find it. So I'm going to create the database in this folder. I'm going to create it using the file open method, the same one I've described in OneNote. So I'm going to open up Access. From Access, I'm going to create a blank database. I'm going to give, first of all, I'm going to decide where I'm going to save my database. So I'm going to put this on my desktop. You could put it, as I said, in your documents. In my desktop, I've got here a database folder. And I'm going to give my database a name. I'm going to call it contacts. We need to give it a name which represents the kind of data that will be inside. Next step, I'm going to click on create. Automatically, Access will create the database and it will create a table for us, a default table. We can use it, but I prefer starting from the beginning. So I'm going to close this table. I don't need this table. And I'm going to now create a new table using the design view. So I'm going to go to create and table design. There we go. Now here I can enter the field names. The field names, remember, will represent the columns of our table. And then I'm going to add the data type. And the data type represents essentially what kind of data I'm going to be saving in these boxes. And remember, we said the data type will determine how much space will be given to store that data. So we don't want too much space, because then we have a lot of wasted space and that will make our database a bit slower. And at the same time, it will also take a large space on our storage device, this time being our computer. So I'm going to create a contact. I'm just going to call something like, say, a CID for contacts. In the description, I'm going to say what that is. Contacts identifier. There we go. And I'm going to leave that as an automatic number. I'm making it an automatic number because I don't want to have to write a number for each person. Remember that the CID is going to be the primary key. So as this is the primary key, I'm going to select it. And I'm going to click on the key, which is here. Then I'm going to enter the fields that I want to store. Now remember, the primary key, the important thing about it is it makes sure that every record in our database is unique. Okay? So first I'm going to put F name, and that's just an abbreviation. I'm going to write the description, first name. And this type of data will be short text. I don't need long text. Short text is enough. Okay? And if I look at the bottom here, it says that the field size is 255. And that essentially means I can add a name which is 255 characters long. Now that's a lot of characters for a first name. So that's going to take a really large amount of space, which I don't need. So I'm just going to reduce that to say, let's say maximum 25 characters for the first name. I'm going to do the same for the S name. And that's going to be the last name, let's say, or the surname. And again, short text. Let's say I'm going to put a telephone. So I'm just going to put tel. And I'm going to put, let's say, telephone number. Now, telephone numbers, because the telephone number can start with a 0, like for the international code, in Cyprus it's 00357. I can't use a number, so I'm going to leave it as short text. And I'm going to reduce the size from 255 to, let's say, 25 again. I don't think any international number will be more than 25 numbers long. But if it is, we could always go back and change it. I'm going to add some fields here which are not relevant to a contacts database, but it will help me show you some more data types as well. So I'm going to put, for example, quantity, QTY. So let's say this is a database which is how many items I've got in my shop or whatever, hard drive or books. And this time now, I'm going to put this as a number. And at the bottom, I'm going to choose a short or just integer. Now, integer and long integer. Integer is a whole number, which means no decimal places. Essentially, what that means is you cannot have a fraction. So if it's, let's say, I've got how many mobile phones I've got of Samsung in my shop, then I can't have 2.5 phones. So it has to be whole numbers. So quantity, I'm going to make that as an integer. Integer though, however, will only allow numbers between 32,000 and minus 32,000. So if I want larger numbers, larger whole numbers, I want to use a long integer as we see here. If I need a decimal fraction, let's say I want somebody's height, and I'm going to do that next. So this one here, I'm going to leave integer, and I'm going to say quantity. Okay, quantity, well, T, forgot T there. There we go. And if I'm going to put someone's height, now here I don't want whole numbers, I want a number, but this time I want to have decimal points. So I'm going to choose here, instead of long integer or integer, I'm going to use single. Now single and double is the same as integer and long integer. A single will allow you, I can't remember how many, about 6 or 7, 8 decimal places. Double will allow you many, many more, mainly for scientific numbers. So I don't need more than a single. That will allow decimal places. So person's height. And I'm just going to put here, let's say someone's right-footed or left-footed if it's a footballer, or if it's for boxing, or if it's for tennis, or anything like that. If you've got a yes-no field, a field which essentially it's either yes or no, then you can use a yes-no field. So I'm going to put L foot, so this means that they're left-footed, and I'm going to make this a Boolean or a yes/no. There you go, a yes/no field. So if it says yes, that means they're left-footed. Are they left-footed? So if it's for a football one, let's say, you would choose yes, and if no, then you would leave it blank. Last one I'm going to say is something like DOB, date of birth. This is a date field, okay, date and time, and I'm going to put here date of birth. It's always good to put the explanation in the description of what the field actually means, because later on you might forget what your abbreviations for the field names means. And remember, in field names we never use spaces. And the last one I'm going to put is, I don't know, let's say salary, or let's say cost. Okay, now that will be a currency field. A currency field essentially will automatically put 2 decimal places after the number, or you can put fractions. The reason why currency and decimal is different is because if you've got the number, let's say 23.50, that's 23 euros and 50 cents. If I make it a number, it's 23.5. It will chop the 0 off. Okay, so currency, and I'm going to put here cost of unit, whatever that is. So once I've done this and I'm happy with this, I can simply click on save. It will ask me a name for the table, and I'm just going to call this contacts or whatever this table represents, and click OK. There we go. We can see here it's made the table for us. Now if I want to see what my table looks like, I click on this button here. So I'm going to go to View, Datasheet View, and there's my table, and I can start adding people in. Nick, Pup, and telephone number, I don't know, the telephone number, quantity 3, and then I'm going to put height, I can't remember, 1.8 if it's meters, left-footed, no, date of birth, oh, do I put my real date of birth down here? Go on then, I will. There you go, to show you how young I am. Cost, I don't know, I'm worth a lot of money, so I'm just going to put down, you know, there you go, that's my cost. Okay. And now I've decided to say, oh, hang on, I've forgotten to add a field. So if I want to add another field, I can, or if I want to modify one, I can go to Design View from here, from the Home menu, look, Home menu. I can go to Design View, and I can say, right, I want another field here, and I'm going to put gender. And this is going to be a short text, and I'm going to say male or female. Okay. And I'm going to change that down to a maximum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters, because female's got 6 and I don't want to be able to write anything else. I click on save. I go back to my normal view, datasheet view, and there you go. I've got my gender and I can add that in. Male. Okay, that's it as far as creating a database is concerned. Going to the design view, adding your fields, your primary key, your data type, and your description. You need to take a screenshot of this and add this as evidence. And then you can start adding information from this view, start adding records into your database. Now, in the next lesson, we're going to learn how we can create a form so that we can add information into our table without using this view, without adding it directly from the table. We can design a really nice form, which is the proper way of adding information. See you again in the next tutorial.